All right, I'll start. Hey, good day. My name is Phil DeCruz. Welcome to Cruising with Phil, new episode. My special guest, my first time having an artist, photographer, composer, songwriter, and HIV. Oh, I gotta learn.
Activist.
Activist, big time activist as well. Justin Anantawan. Got it right?
Anantawan.
Anantawan. Oh, forgive the accent.
Yeah,
How you doing, Justin?
it's
Thanks
okay.
for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
That's great. So let's tell who you are and what you're all about.
Yeah, my name is Justin Anantawan, and I'm a very gay, very Asian, very HIV positive, but very proud person, I guess. Um, and I'm a singer. As I said, I also work with Asian Community Aid Services as an HIV self-testing educator. So that's my role at ACAS, but I've done other things with them too. Like I've done law photography. I just had my first exhibit that was hosted by ACAS
Oh, that's nice.
about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was with another queer Asian artist named Chris Lau. And it was for this it was also in partnership with this organization called Where Love Is Legal, which sells LGBTQ photo stories. Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. I also work overseas quite a bit. I've worked in Gambia, in Jamaica, in Kenya, as a photographer, as a photojournalist, as an HIV activist, as a teacher of the deaf, I've been a music teacher there as well, different places. So yeah, my life's been kind of interesting. I've been a lot of different places. I've had a lot of different jobs. I've been to school 4 different times, and so yeah, I mean, well, post-secondary education 4 different times. So I feel like my life is a little bit of a mishmash of things that really don't go together, but somehow make my life great. And I love living my life despite how different it is, I guess. Yeah.
Are you from Toronto originally, or born in Toronto, or raised in Toronto?
Well, I was born here in Toronto, but I'm the son of immigrant parents. My dad is from Thailand, and my mom is from China, from Hong Kong.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah. I love all your variety of all the things you've done in your
Yeah.
life. Kind of complements each other in a way, right? One thing goes to the other and back and forth,
Yeah, I mean, I like being a I'm not gonna say it on your program. I have words for
Yeah,
myself. I'm
hey,
not
it's
gonna
your
say
interview. You can
it,
say
but
whatever. It's your interview.
I
Say
like
whatever.
being a
Your interview.
oh
You say
God,
whatever.
I don't
Say whatever you want.
well, no, I'm not gonna say it. Like I'm gonna say mixed blank Asian. But yeah, because I mean it's interesting because I mean if you look at my parents, right? My mom is like light skinned,
Yeah.
my dad's darker skinned, right? And
My
so
mom,
it's really
like me,
funny
my
because
yeah.
my brother
That's a,
Adrian and Tyler, no, no,
yeah,
me and my brother Adrian, we have dark skin, and my
yeah.
brother Tyler has light skin, and so I've always loved that dynamic. But I've always loved the color of my skin. I love that I can like not
Yeah, like
completely
me.
easily burn, you know. But I
Like my
love my
mom.
skin color, especially
Yeah, my
during the
mom.
summer.
My
But
mom's
I
Irish, right? Yeah,
sorry.
my mom's Irish. She's white. My mom's white. She's Irish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she got red hair and hazel eyes. I'm the lightest one of the family, like
Okay,
you.
yeah.
So my brother's the darkest, my sister's Zach, and then I come after that. So I'm the only one in the family that has brown and green eyes in the whole family. Yeah, that's kind of a mixture
Yeah.
there. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah. So I saw your show there. I just saw some of the pictures. They're amazing. It's just like
Thank
I
you.
love how each tells a story. It's really funny. I was thinking when I saw your show the other day, I was looking at the inside. I said, if this was back in the 80s when the whole AIDS was starting, the whole, the prejudice, this would not even be allowed to be
Uh-huh.
shown in public. You know what I mean? Like now,
Uh-huh.
how many years difference? 30 years difference, Like what you show right now would not be allowed to be shown back in public back then. It was unheard of. But now I also
Yeah.
like your stories. It's just to me. Where do you get the inspiration for the photography? Because I like your photography a lot, just the detail and all.
Where do I get my inspiration? I get my inspiration from the people I photograph, and that's where I get the inspiration, right? Because my photographs would not exist if it had not been for the vulnerability of people who want to actually be in front of my camera, right? And basically, whenever I do a photograph, I'm always inspired by the person. Like for example, even in my fashion photography, I never really make it about the clothes because again, um, I mean, if I could, I'd probably just walk around naked all the time. I realize,
Yeah.
because I mean, actually, would I? Yeah, if it was socially acceptable, because it's nice. Like, because the thing is, like, I feel like sometimes, as much as like fashion is, So okay, sorry, I got to put this together, okay? Why I'm talking about fashion, because I'm a fashion photographer, okay? That's why I'm talking about what draws me inspiration. So I'm not just going, in things, right? But I'm talking about specifically about fashion. Um, but basically, I'm always because I'm more of a photojournalist. Like I'm always focusing on people. So for example, when I'm doing fashion, like most of my stories have something to do with like they might be wearing something, but what's more paramount is the story that they want to tell. So I've had fashion models like do shoots with me where they like LGBTQ models, for example, who will dress themselves in clothes that kind of represent their identity. And then I will photograph them and get their story. I have a photographer that thinks in my head, oh, I'm going to put this close together and make an image that's just visually that's visually beautiful. I mean, the visual beauty of an image is important, but what's more important is the soul in the image, and I find that's important, that human element. So yeah, so I guess yeah, that's what I'm inspired by humans. I'm inspired by their stories. But then if I did have to like talk about an influence I do have, I love Peter Lindbergh. He's always been if you look at my photography, a lot of my work is very reminiscent, I would say, of Peter Lindbergh. And I'll have to say that because I can't just like, I borrow because it's interesting because for me, Peter Lindbergh, his soul matches with mine, right? I'm a person who loves things raw, including sex. Just joking. That
I
was
won't
really
edit that
bad.
part.
No. I mean, well, I mean, no. I mean, hey, if
Yeah.
the other person feels safe, if you feel safe with the other person, and also I'm undetectable, right? So, HIV, right? Like, so U equals U, right? I've had men who I've slept with and like without condom, but they were tested and I was tested, and we both knew our statuses in terms of STIs and things like that. And so, if you, I do believe like I feel like there's a lot of stigma against people who do engage in bareback sex, and I think like I used to have that in my head. And ironically, before I became HIV positive. Um, but anyways, I got to go back to what I was saying. But anyways, Peter Lindbergh, like he has a very raw kind of a very raw style. He doesn't do a lot of retouching. Like when I do retouching, I do very little retouching because again, what I love is when you can see the people's skin textures because that's what tells the story of a person. So that's the one thing I hate because I work with models, so unfortunately, I'm kind of like forced to retouch things like pimples and stuff like that. But if it was my choice, I completely not even retouch that at all, right? But unfortunately, I work with models who need these sort of portfolios, and they're going into an industry with that. So if I take pictures of them, don't retouch it, it's not good for the portfolio, right? And so there's always that balance. Um, but even when I do photo shoots with models, right? Like when I get my new faces, I'm always making sure I train them. I love training them. I love talking to them about the business, because the fashion industry is shitty and it exploits models. So nowadays, I always warn them. If you go into the fashion industry, this is what you got to look out for, and it's a lot, especially South Sudanese refugee models. They're being exploited like crazy by the fashion industry. But anyways, but answering your question, yes, I get inspired by people in my photography. That's what I'm going to say. Sorry, that was a very long-winded question.
No. Your
I
time.
mean,
No,
answer. Sorry.
I love the detail and all. Yeah, I like what you're like. You said about
Yeah.
the soul, like your photography, your pictures. That's the first thing I saw was I saw the humanity in each individual you photographed. Right. Say your soul. I call the soul humanity. Yeah, humanity coming to a full future. Right. So I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's my niece is a photographer, but she does like she works for a company, does like models, and she told me the same thing. The modeling industry is like just toxic in some ways. Well, you've seen yourself, right? You know?
Oh
So
yeah, I've worked as a model scout. So I don't work as a model scout anymore per se. Like I would consider myself a retired model scout. So I work mostly with South Sudanese refugee models, right? And when I was in Kenya, I thought I could be a model scout. I thought I was helping these refugees who I would find at Kakuma and help them become models. And like I would mentor them. They would live in my house. I would teach them photography. I teach them how to walk. They lived in my house. They became like my own kids. But the thing that always got me so upset was the fact that when they got into the business and they went overseas, I couldn't protect them because I'm not the person in charge of what's going on. I can't like tell these agencies what to do, unfortunately, right? And how these brands work in terms of who they're going to cast and what they're going to do. And a lot of them got exploited, like really badly exploited to the point that like I we ended up just agreeing like three of them actually. Actually, well, one of them was my scouted model that I scouted, but then two of them were just kids, like refugee models that I just adopted. So I wasn't like their scout, but they just kind of became part of my family in Kenya. But what actually ended up happening was they all kind of basically said "fuck you" to modeling, and I basically ended up helping them go to Germany instead to become refugees, where they are now.
Wow.
And that's how bad it got. Like how bad it got with this industry that I'm so angry at this industry that now I'd rather help these models like not even succeed in this industry anymore, but just use like to even just use modeling as a way to get into Europe and get out of Kenya, because the situation these models go through and refugees in Kenya is horrifying. I've been to Kuma refugee camp. I've seen how the Kenyan police and the soldiers treat them. So any way I can get any of these models out of Kenya, out of the refugee camp and into Europe, I'm gonna do it. You know, because I've given up basically on believing that this industry actually helps these refugees, because it really doesn't. I mean, I'm lucky that I have another model who I haven't had to send to Germany, and this is why he's making money. He just happens to have one of those looks where he makes a lot of money and he's doing fine. But that's how it should be like for every single fucking refugee. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I mean, sorry, not every.
I know what you mean.
Can you please beep that out?
No,
Please beep that out. I'm very passionate, and I just speak
no, but
things
what I
out.
like, what I like, what I like about
Every
your picture
refugee.
yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, but anyways, but yeah, like I mean, no, like I mean, because you know what's really annoying to me? These modeling agencies in Europe, they basically kind of make it seem these like refugees are like you know, oh, they're so bad because they're being criminals, and again, like they're trying to like just get into the country. It's again the stereotype of Africans being like you know, sneaky and going against the law. Well, the thing is, this is the thing. If they're working for your modeling agency for 6 months and you're treating them like a slave and they make no money, and you're literally making them work for free. Like I know some models who've booked covers of magazines and like even an Off-White campaign, and they made no money.
No money at all.
They did a campaign for Off-White and made absolutely no money off it because of all the debt they were into their agency, you know. And so these agencies, they make it seem as if they're like the models of the problem that they want to escape. No, it's your problem because you're exploiting them, using them as slaves. Yeah. You know, so but again, it's this whole thing about humanity and what we focus on, right? I mean, think about fashion, right? It's about clothes. Do the clothes have a soul? Do the clothes have a brain? Do the clothes have any physical needs or need any self-esteem? No, humans do. Clothes should be made to fit humans. Humans should not be starving. Models should not be starving themselves to fit clothes.
Talk about the.
And I don't care about these.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And then these friggin' fashion brands, like they try to be like diverse, right? Like I don't know, they're starting to put curve models, but then it's like the curve models they put on are all the same. They all have hourglass figures. Like there are other models who are curvy who have like more box shaped figures or wider shoulders. Like what is, you know? And it's like, and the height thing too annoys me. Like I'm just starting to get so like annoyed with this industry and what it represents to me, because it just represents something that's so exclusionary and inhumane. And again, these refugee models are being treated like slaves, and the industry is not listening. I've even like posted about it on my Instagram talking about it, and people aren't listening. You know,
that segregation is still there, eh? Ace, Justin, sorry.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you what happens. I'll tell you what happens. Yeah. These European agencies, right? They go directly into the refugee camp, and it's like a slave auction. They just find these like young kids who are like 15, 16, and they like parade them around in a contest. Yeah. But it's more, again, it feels like a slave auction, and it's so problematic because it's like a bunch of white people, like a ton of white people who are basically going into a refugee camp looking for like Black folks who they're going to turn into slaves in the fashion industry. And unfortunately, these kids, because of what they've been through so much trauma with like, some of them are like former child soldiers. Some of them are forced into marriages. Like all these kids want to do, these young 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds, they just want to like help their families out. And so when you like basically go to a refugee camp and make it seem as if they're going to get this golden ticket to Europe and make money, and then they go overseas and go to Europe and then they make no money and get exploited, and then they're still, and then you send them back from Paris back to the refugee camp with nothing.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And I mean, like, I'm slowly basically trying to work on exposing this more. People aren't listening yet, but at some point people will listen, and that's
That's
why I'm
good.
willing to talk about it. But it's
That's good.
yeah.
And funny, it's like
Can I ask you a question, by the way?
Yeah, go ahead.
What was this interview supposed to be about? Because I feel like I'm completely off topic.
It's
I'm
about
so
you.
sorry.
Hey, it's your interview. Whatever you want to talk about. No, no, there's no
Okay,
particular.
cool,
Yeah,
cool.
it's yours. No, whatever you're talking about. No, but I find
Okay.
it's the segregation. I find even the segregation year, like even in this, in the well, not just the model, but any kind of ads. You notice when the whole, like for example, the Black Lives Matter started, right? The whole, scenario, Black Lives Matter. Now every commercial you see is a black person on there going camping, hiking, beer drinking. I go like, I got black people in my family. All my nephews are black and nieces are black. We make jokes about it. Hey, look, now we're in commercials suddenly. Even like Asians. Remember years ago, Asians were the whole thing. Like this was Asian. This they have comedy shows. Here's something funny. We have a comedy show called I forgot something it was a Canadian one, and they had one of the
Hmm.
states, and it's so I don't watch it, because I find it so prejudicial and so segregated. Because they have like there's this American Asian comedy show, I forgot what it's called, and it was just
Yeah.
so typical the way they talk as American, but with an Asian accent. It's just I find it so insulting watching a show. It's like you're insulting the whole culture of an Asian culture that's beyond what you're showing. Not every Asian talks like that with an American accent with an Asian accent. It's just
Yeah.
even their scenarios are just like I said, typical American propaganda toward the American, but we got a bit of an Asian accent showing how the Asians live in American views. Even like here, our newscast when we have a Asian issue or a black news program or an issue, they always put that nationality as a newscaster, right? Like we
Yeah.
have, yeah, like some of the Asian like something going on in the Philippines there not too long. They all of a sudden I don't forget her name, Asian reporter. I said, how come you can't put another not just an Asian reporter? Why did they put because I actually called them, I complained, they said, well, it's more appeasing to the masses if we put somebody that's actually identifies with that category of what the topic is. Like, really? That
Yeah.
makes me laugh. Yeah, yeah. So it's the same, like it's a segregation. I'm glad you're talking about it because I've heard about this before about the exploitation of models, not just from you, from other people. And I'm glad you mentioned that. That's good. So,
Yeah.
oh, you're also a songwriter too. You got a couple albums, I think.
Well, it's interesting. I'm gonna say this. Like, it's funny because I feel like I don't know. I hate to call myself songwriter because I feel like I a real songwriter is a person who consistently writes songs and is like doing that stuff consistently. But the thing about me is, my energy is a little bit different in terms of how I write music. Basically, it's like I just write when I feel like writing it. For some reason, there are not a lot of times I feel like writing songs. I don't know why yet, but I will do more. But I'll tell you about the songwriting. I mean, because I actually recorded a song for the AIDS vigil, right? Were you
Yeah,
there
yeah.
for it?
I heard. No, I
Yeah,
heard
so
the
it's called
song.
"I'm Still Here."
Yeah, I love it.
I'll
It's
sing a little
nice.
bit for you so you can hear it. But it went like
Hey,
this. It went like I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still here. This I know. Yeah, that's how the song went. But my voice is a little fucked up today, so yeah, because so it didn't sound that good, I know. But yeah, like the reason I actually wrote that song was actually it was for basically I heard that they were doing the AIDS vigil and the theme was still here. And I'd actually like performed at the AIDS vigil like years ago, doing Born This Way, and I hadn't done it for a while. I was like, I want to try it again. So basically, I heard the theme and I thought, you know what, Justin, let's challenge yourself. Let's actually write a song. It was just a very random thought, like, let's see if you can do it, Justin. Let's see if you can do it. And it's so funny how the song came about because I ended up I was in my bathtub and I was high as shit on weed and mushrooms. And I don't know what happened. I just started like humming the song in my head and it just came to me like when I was high. And I guess the way I felt when I was singing it was almost like the souls of all the folks in the past who have died of HIV/AIDS were like just coming into my soul. And okay, that sounded bad.
That sounds
I
cool.
meant
I love that. That's so nice.
we're entering. Oh my God, they were singing with me. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that sounded
No,
bad.
that's great. No.
Yeah, but yeah, like yeah, like, and it was just a beautiful experience. And I just remembered like thinking, okay, I'm gonna audition with this song. And it was funny because I actually almost didn't audition with that song. I almost decided to sing. What's the song I wanted to sing? I almost sang oh, what song was I? Was it Bridge Over Troubled Water? Or yeah, I forget what song, but I was actually gonna sing another song. Then at the last minute I was like, you know what? No, just go for it. You have nothing to lose. And it ended up being like one of the best performances I'd ever done in my life, basically.
Nice.
Like the best probably, and the most moving and the most meaningful thing I'd ever done. Like, because I mean literally I just felt like when I was on that stage of the AIDS visual singing, I just felt like all these souls were behind me and they were singing with me, you know, and that's a very powerful experience. And for me, it's important to like do that as an artist, as an HIV positive artist, is because I know that I have access to drugs in this day and age because of a lot of the sacrifices these activists in the 80s and the 90s, you know, what they were fighting for, right?
Hmm.
And so it was very meaningful for me to be there because I was at a memorial where, you know, it was just like, yeah, they were just, their souls were all there, right? And yeah. And so, but yeah, again, like talking about songwriting, right? I think it's like the inspiration coming with the photography, right? For me, with the songwriting, I just don't really sing until an inspiration comes to me, right? And I guess for me, because songwriting is something I'm not really that great at, I don't think. I'm very simple in my songwriting too. Like I often have just words that repeat, you know, and I think a lot of people would maybe see that as a little bit contrite, I guess, or you know,
Hey,
too
Justin,
simplistic.
just to
Yeah.
interrupt you. I'm gonna just go back. After you sang that song on stage at the Vigil, how did it feel after singing that song? That all those souls behind you. How did it feel after you finished?
I cried actually. It was like a
Yeah.
release of emotion. Like I actually went. My friend Erin was there. Who's a very beautiful person. She's actually a breast cancer survivor. She just held me and just sobbed. It was a release of emotion, I think, because again, I just felt all the pain of everyone there and the suffering people gone through, and just the love too. I think that was the thing that was overwhelming. Just the overwhelming sense of love in that park, you know,
Well, hey,
and also love
love,
from.
love without discrimination, right?
Exactly, and also love for myself because I think one of the things I've had a very difficult time doing is learning to love myself. Like I have had a lot of issues in my life. Like I have borderline personality disorder, ADHD. I'm recovering from eating disorder, exercise bulimia, shit ton of trauma. I've recovered from OCD. Um, you know, getting HIV, also like, you know, a lot of traumatic experiences overseas. Like, you know, there was one time I was in a marketplace in Jamaica and I was robbed at knife point. In Kenya one time, this person like drugged me and stole my laptop and computer and camera. You know, this has been a lot of stuff, right? And it all adds up in your mind instead of the trauma and the pain. And I've had a lot of pain in my life. You know, also being gay, being Christian too, and going through a lot of the self hate. And I felt like when I was on that stage, it was like I didn't realize it, but that song was also for myself that I'm still here um because basically when I wrote that song, it was actually at a point in my life where I was just I'm on a path of healing, and I feel like I'm on the path now. But when at that point, like two or was it 2 months ago now? Holy shit!
I think it was
I was just the beginning.
yeah, 2 months ago. Two.
Yeah, 2 months ago, I
Yeah.
was just the beginning of a very painful healing process, and I think at that point I was just at the tip. I think because like the month before that, even I think I'd like done a trip on LSD, which kind of opened my mind to a few things, and then you know everything just kind of just kept on snowballing to a point where something happened recently where I just kind of completely broke down and I guess just felt like kind of accessed my inner child, I guess, and that healing. And ever since then, um, yeah, I've been in a very painful but beautiful process of healing. But again, when I was singing that song, it was for me too, because despite all the shit I've kind of gone through and there's many times I haven't wanted to live, even as early like even as much as like 2 weeks ago, I was like
So
wanting to kill myself.
let me interrupt you. Let me ask you. No, interrupt. Sorry, interrupting you. So everything you just been through, what also you just mentioned, and everything in the interview. So
Yeah,
my question is, what keeps you going? You're still going. I mean, here you are, a positive guy talking to me with a great story and
yeah,
experiences. But what keeps you going? Most people would want to give up. Everything you do, you would just feel like you want to give up. Just keep going. What
yeah.
keeps you going? I'm curious.
What keeps me
What
going
gives you that
is
strength to just
what
go on
keeps me.
and yeah, just continue on? It's amazing.
Yeah, so I would say what it is the strength that keeps me going is, I guess, just being empathetic towards the suffering of other people. You know what I mean? Um because the thing is that I know there are a lot of people out there in the world who are really suffering. Like every like on the street every day I think I've met like 3 people who are unhoused on the street in the last 2 weeks who are like dying of cancer, and that's really fucked up.
Yeah.
That's extremely fucked up. Uh, because again, in this healing process now, I've actually even started praying with random people, who I feel need a prayer. And sometimes I ask, do you want to say a prayer? And they sometimes they do. And often a lot of these folks are unhoused actually. Um, and I'll just say a prayer with them and I'll hold their hand and I feel their pain. But I think in the process of, I guess, my healing, it's almost like I've kind of entered this state where I'm extremely sensitive now to like a lot of the suffering in the world, because I think I've finally kind of come to terms with my own suffering in my life and a lot of like my childhood trauma. And so I guess the reason why I keep on going is because I understand that even though I feel pain, pain is universal and pain is all the same. And as human beings, we can all choose to use that pain and be bitter about it and use that pain to hurt others, or we can use that pain to heal others and to let people see that and like know that they're seen, right? Like for example, yeah, I mean, and so that's what keeps me going, I think, just kind of understanding human suffering. Because I'll tell you, for example, like one of the most compassionate, beautiful moments I ever had in my life was when I was at Kakuma refugee camp, and I think I was visiting with one of my model kids, my refugee model kids. I think he's in Germany now, thank God. And he's like basically quit modeling because it's shit. Anyways, but he took me to see his I guess his like adoptive grandma. So his father died during the war, South Sudan, and this lady was his elder, I guess, at the refugee camp, who just like took care of all these like young men who were just like entering the camp from South Sudan. He was one of them. And I remember like just visiting her. I guess she was in her hut, and she had nothing in that hut, and it was like hot as hell in that hut. And all she had was like I think was a canister of juice, and she was sick and just lying there in the heat. And I just went up to her and she just took my hand. I didn't know what she was doing, but she started saying a prayer in Dinka or something for me. And it just touched me so much that I was in this place where people were starving and sick, and there was so much like hopelessness, but at the same time, a lot of love. And the fact that this woman who had helped so many of these young refugee men was willing just to hold my hand, a total stranger, and pray for me. I should have been the one freaking praying for her. I mean, you know, but that's and again, but I mean, her prayer helped me because at the point when I was at that camp, I was in pain seeing what I was seeing. I was in pain at that time because Kenya was really hard on me. Like I've had a lot of bad experiences in Kenya, a lot of really bad experiences. Um, being harassed by policemen, being arrested, again being robbed multiple times. One time I got involved in a situation where like guns were fired, and I almost got killed.
Sure.
You know, and again, it's also my fault because I tend to kind of like put myself in these situations, unfortunately. So that's me. But so to be in Kenya, and again, Kenya is a beautiful place, right? I'm not trying to like paint a picture of Kenya as this horrible place, but those are things that happen to me, and I can't deny that's happened to me, right? And Kenya is a beautiful place with beautiful people, but I'll say that the way the Kenyan government works in terms of corruption and the policemen, the soldiers, and what they're doing to people there and refugees, it's really awful. Um, and feeling that pain for me was always difficult. So for me to be in that situation where she was just wanting to pray for me, you know, she didn't know I was gay, she didn't know I was HIV positive, but just feeling her love, like without her barely speaking a word to me, you know, just praying for me, you know. Um, but those kind of things keep me going, you know, because I think about her all the time. I pray for her still all the time, and um, but things like that keep me going because I realize that um, I'm very, 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 very privileged in this life to have what I have. And that's why for me, if there's ever a chance for me to help somebody, I'm gonna do my best to help them. It doesn't matter if it's like this amount of money or that amount of money. I mean, I've also learned to have to kind of like hold back um, because I sometimes overdo it. And again, it's part of borderline personality disorder. People like me, like an ADHD, so we tend to be impulsive, and also people with borderline personality disorder, we tend to have a very hard time separating our identities from other people. So like when other people are suffering, it becomes our suffering.
Yeah.
And then that's why it's hard for us to keep boundaries, and then we give our money away to too many people. There's this one point where I lost $10,000 trying to help people in Kenya during COVID, or $15,000, and it just ended up fucking me up. So that's why I have to watch myself. And it's really funny. I actually tithe. I don't go to church, and I fucking hate church, like for the most part, because I think like the institution itself is shit in terms of how it treats people. Although there are some good churches, I guess, but just I fucking hate it. But I tithe. Like I give away probably. They always say give away 10% of your income. I give around 10 to 20% of my income a month to families and friends I know in South Sudan or Kenya, and I feel like that's not even enough still. But I do that because even though it's like, and it kind of gets upsetting because I think people, I've been really upset when people kind of like tell me I'm doing too much, and they kind of like don't trust me and think like you're such an idiot for giving me your money. But no, it's my money. I get to do what I want to do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and if I wanted, you know, but I feel stupid sometimes too because there've been times too where I've had people take advantage of my kindness and lie to me.
Oh yeah, that happens.
Actually, yeah, someone actually recently tried to do that. He was trying to. Oh, I'm not even going to go into details, but I was pretty pissed off. Let's just say I feel like he lied about. I don't know. I'm not going to go into details, but someone today actually tried to get money from me, and then I found out he was actually he'd actually been doing stuff behind my back to me in Kenya, which I wasn't aware of. So I was like, nope, I'm not gonna help you. I can be very kind at times, but you know, when I want to be mean and I want to destroy someone, I can. Like these fashion brands and all these fucking agencies who are like exploiting models, like I'm gonna do everything in my power to destroy them. You know, because they deserve to be destroyed. The people in power deserve to be fucking destroyed. You know, I'm fucking tired of them. I'm fucking tired of people who don't deserve to have the privilege they
they're
have,
taking advantage of
including me.
taking
Like
advantage of the hurt.
I honestly think I have too much privilege too, and I feel like if you ever have any privilege or whatever, then I feel like all of us should be doing something to help others because just existing causes suffering to this world. I mean, the fact that me and you right now are on video talking is using electricity. We're destroying the environment. No matter what we do,
Yeah.
even me driving my car to the grocery stations today was destroying the environment. You know, like
it's all little things, eh?
exactly. So that's, you know what I mean. So no matter what, we're going to be causing suffering no matter what we do. So the thing we got to do then is try to make to try to negate as much as possible, and we can do it in a very loving way, and that's what love is. Love is what we do to kind of make up for the shitty people we are. You know what I mean?
They say there's
I don't want
to.
Yeah, because I don't want to just like. Sorry if I'm interrupting you because I can't hear you literally. You're plugged up, but I mean, I don't want to be on a soapbox and think and want people to think that I'm trying to say I'm an angel because I'm not. I'm actually an asshole when I want to be. I'm a really big asshole, like not even a tight one. Wait,
It's funny.
sorry, that was funny.
No, no, that's all
But
cool. That's all cool. I just
trust
got
me, I'm
about
not that loose. Oh my god, that was bad. But
just got about two minutes
sorry.
left there. Just got about 2 minutes left there. Do you want to add anything on?
Okay.
Do you have anything coming up for yourself? Any presentations or shows coming up?
Oh, what do I have? Hey. Sorry, one of my coworkers walked in. Um, sorry, what's coming up for me? Well, I'm just going to do more like HIV self-testing, educational workshops. So, oh, I got to tell my Instagram, folks. So my Instagram is at Justin underscore Anantawan. So at JUSTIN underscore ANANTAWAN. Again, at Justin underscore Anantawan. So that's JUSTIN underscore ANANTAWAN. And the good thing you can like look there for my work and because actually I post there like things that are coming up. So like one of the things that are coming up, I'm going to be kind of doing more HIV self-testing workshops and educational things. I'm also working with a really wonderful friend of mine, a deaf woman, a deaf Asian woman named Tina. And she's a very wonderful friend of mine. And we're actually going to be working on some videos about HIV self-testing for deaf Asian people and deaf people
Yeah, I
in
love it. I
general,
love
because I feel like we need to reach that population more. So that's
it. And,
amazing. What else am I doing? I'm planning on recording a studio version of "I'll Always Love You." Yeah.
oh, cool. I just got a woman left. So what I'll add your links to the video and I'll send it out there and all. And you can do that. So anyways, so do you know what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When we're
You know,
done, I'll send.
you have to say there are heroes born every day. Today, buddy, you're my hero for everything you do, everything you go through.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
you are.
Thank
Seriously.
you.
So I'm gonna say goodbye and we'll talk
I'm.
again. And
Yeah.
thanks for coming on the show. I'm gonna promote. I'll send you a copy of it, and I'll add your links to your website, your Instagram, and everything. And just say thank you so much, Justin. Thank
Yeah.
you for serving the city and serving the world. Actually, helping people out. Continue what you're doing. Never give up. I don't think you'll ever give up. You're a fighter, and I love it. That's man. You're my hero, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Okay.
I'll talk after the thing in her.
Okay.
Okay. I'll say goodbye for now, and I'll send you a
Okay.
copy. Thanks, Justin, for coming on the show.